Weighing in on the existence of heaven, two unlikely opponents on opposing sides in this debate. Here is Dan Harris.
You could hardly find two less likely debating partners. One of the most famous scientists on the planet and a boy from Nebraska who turns 12 tomorrow. On one side, the physicist Stephen Hawking, who provoked a firestorm recently when he said that heaven is a fairy story for people who are afraid of the dark. He went on to say, I regard the brain as a computer which will stop working when its components fail. There is no heaven or afterlife for broken down computers. On the other side, young Colton Burpo, who says he knows heaven is real because he's been there.
I got to see Jesus and two of the apostles, Peter and John.
He says this happened at age 4 when, nearing death, he underwent emergency surgery. His father, a pastor, has written a best-selling book about Colton's story called Heaven is for Real. He says when his son came to, he knew things that he'd never been told, including that his mother had had a miscarriage.
And that day that my son described to me my daughter that I have waiting for me in heaven, it was an incredible day.
And Colton's reaction to Hawking?
I'll say that I can believe what I can believe, and if you don't believe it, okay.
Stephen Hawking may have written more books and may have many more advanced degrees than young Colton, but here in this country at least, it's more than likely that the winner of the debate would be the 12-year-old. While there is some disagreement among Americans about whether heaven is a purely spiritual setting or an actual physical place, the bottom line is roughly 3/4 of us agree with Colton that heaven is real.
Science measures things that are visible, that are measurable, and because it does, it starts to assume that that's all that exists.
As one person told us today, this debate brings to mind that line from Isaiah, "A child shall lead them." Dan Harris, ABC News.
Can you prove that God does not exist, or just that the universe could have been created without one?
One can't prove that God doesn't exist, but science makes God unnecessary. The laws of physics can explain the universe without the need for a creator.
Why do so many human beings seem to need a God?
People want to think there is something they can relate to, and which can make them feel they are not isolated, but are part of a larger whole. They seek it as the authority for an ethical system and a lifestyle they can aspire to, but not necessarily achieve.
And in our universe, are we alone?
Life appeared spontaneously on Earth, or nearby, within the last 10 billion years. So one would expect life to appear elsewhere in the universe, though it might be a long way away. There don't seem to be any advanced intelligent aliens in our region of the galaxy, or we would have heard their radio signals.
When will the human race, do you think, meet its end? Are we destined to fail?
Life in the universe will cease to be possible when the universe becomes cold, dark, and empty in about 15 billion years. But the real danger is that the human race will destroy itself on a much shorter time scale. To have a chance of long-term survival, we will have to spread out into space.
Strange question perhaps, but is yours the greatest mind of our time? If not, whose is?
I certainly wouldn't claim to be the greatest mind of our time. It is only after the passage of time that we will see who were the outstanding figures.
But do you think, will you in your lifetime find the theory of everything, the Holy Grail, I suppose? Will you solve absolutely the mystery of how and why we are here?
Science is a cooperative effort. If we finally find the theory of everything and why we are here, it will be the result of the joint work of many people over many years.
On a more basic level, how do you read, research, and how long does it take you to actually write?
The internet was actually first set up by scientists in my field to share papers. So all the scientific papers I need are online, and I read them on my computer screen. Fiction used not to be available in electronic form, so I like to be read too. I still prefer this, even though one can now buy it online. Writing is very slow, but that gives me time to choose my words carefully.
How does your knowledge impact other areas of your life, the appreciation of music, of art, and your family?
Physics may explain the mysteries of the universe, but it is cold and unemotional, so I try not to let it affect my family life. I think the primary purpose of music is to induce emotion, so I like composers like Wagner who do this well. Other areas of the arts are a mixture of reason and emotion, and I judge them accordingly.